What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Horsepower Obsessed. Today we're going to talk about the 2021 C8 Corvette production, when it's going to start, and some other issues that have been plaguing the C8 Corvette in general. Alright guys, so there is a bunch of C8 Corvette news out there, some of it regarding the 2021 C8 and other pieces regarding the current 2020 C8 Corvette. So let's dive right into the 2021 Corvette information, which of course comes to us from our friends over at CorvetteBlogger.com. Their article starts out by saying, looks like the 2021 Corvettes will be here sooner rather than later, according to a memo sent this week to Chevrolet dealers. That memo states that the 2021 C8 Corvette production will officially start on Tuesday, December 8th. Now, this news is contrary to Corvette bloggers' previous estimates of the 2020 Corvette being produced through December, ending just before Christmas or the New Year's break. They have reached out to one of their trusted sources who has confirmed that the December 8th start date, and more importantly, confirmed that all 2020 orders will be completed by December 7th, barring any further disruptions. Now, as you guys know, the 2020 C8 Corvette is no stranger to disruptions. Between the coronavirus and, of course, the UAW strike, the C8 Corvette was pushed back quite a bit. Now, with the 2021 so far, there have been no gigantic disruptions such as either one of those two events, but it is pushed back a little bit because of the events affecting the 2020 C8. When the C8 Corvette was first announced, Chevy said that they had geared up their warehouse to churn out 40,000 C8 Corvettes a year. Now, with that said, because of all the disruptions for the C8 Corvette, as of this past Wednesday, the plant said that the last car built was number 15,444. So obviously there is quite a discrepancy there between the 15,444 number and the 40,000 units that Chevy said that they could build for these cars. Now, obviously that is because of the disruptions, because of what's happening in the world. And like I said, hopefully that same thing does not happen with the 2021. So all you guys out there can finally get your hands on the C8 Corvette. The Corvette blogger goes on to say that in related 2021 news, dealers are receiving their first allocation numbers for the new model year. Dealers will begin officially submitting the orders to General Motors beginning next Thursday. We've been told that the allocations are only for the first 3 months. What this means is the dealers will know how many 2021 Corvette orders they can submit per cycle over the next 3 months and can begin contacting their buyers firm and submit those orders to GM. If your dealer reaches out to you within the next week, you're among the first in line for the 2021 C8 Corvette. The CorvetteBlogger.com website finishes up that article by saying, and now that the model year changeover is taking place earlier in December, it could be possible that the first 2021 Corvettes are delivered just in time for Christmas. All right, guys, so we're going to take a break from the action real quick to mention today's sponsor, and it is going to be Ridge Wallet. I've talked about them a couple times before, guys, but it's a real nice carbon fiber updated wallet. Allows you to carry your cash on the back with a money clip or a money band that will hold it, as well as hold up to 12 of your cards. As guys, we typically carry a bunch of crap in our wallet that we don't really need, and this really helps eliminate the mess. Now, this will hold your debit cards, credit cards, and even your identification, your driver's licenses, things like that. If you're interested in something like this, guys, definitely check out the description down below. I will put the 10% off coupon down there. You can save some money on these just for being a Horsepower Obsessed fan. Now, the next piece of information also comes from the CorvetteBlogger.com. This is concerning the 2020 C8 Corvette and some check engine lights that are coming on for some owners. The article's title is, "Some 2020 Corvette owners are getting a check engine light, but no noticeable performance issues." They go on to say that within the last week, they've been contacted by no less than 3 different 2020 C8 Corvette owners about an issue they have with their sports cars, and now GM has a TechLink article up about it. The owners are reporting that a check engine light comes on along with a message that power may be temporarily reduced, yet they were told they felt no such issues with the power. The CorvetteBlogger.com actually posts up one of the emails they received from one of the owners experiencing this issue, and they said, "I took delivery of a 2020 Corvette Coupe on September 3rd. About 2 weeks later, the check engine light came on. I took it to the dealership. When I picked it up, they had managed to get the engine light to go out, but they told me it was a temporary fix and that GM was aware of the problem and they're working on a permanent fix. I drove the car for about 2 weeks and the check engine light came back on. I took it back to the dealership on October 16th and it is still there. They again say they are awaiting a fix. I assume a computer or software type fix is coming. The Corvette blogger then says, the day after I received this email, I was made aware of a new GM TechLink article, and believing that this was the issue with the owner, I sent it over to him. The CorvetteBlogger.com goes on to say that a second owner with the same issue called yesterday about it as well. He was noticeably upset about the issue and told me he might just sell the car and be done, as he was scared to drive it. He described the same issue, which is a check engine light coming on, and specifically told me that his service text mentioned the transmission control module, which is also mentioned in the TechLink article. GM appears to be working on a software fix for whatever is causing this, but we wanted to make sure that the owners are aware, just in case you're getting similar messages. Here is some official verbiage from the GM TechLink article. It starts out by saying some 2020 Corvettes may have an illuminated check engine light and reduced engine power message on the instrument cluster with no noticeable performance issues. DTCs P1967 and or P1968 may be set in the transmission control module. Follow the diagnostics for these DTCs in the appropriate service information. If there are other DTCs set in the TCM, diagnose those DTCs first. If only DTCs P1967 or P1968 are set, do not request a TCM replacement. These conditions are not a performance issue with the TCM or transmission assembly. A software update is currently being evaluated. That by itself instills some confidence back after reading this article, because I was a little concerned GM may have jumped the gun with this whole dual clutch transmission thing, but at the end, GM is convinced this is not a problem with the physical hardware, but more so the software that controls it, which is definitely awesome, because that means we can get an over-the-air update and this problem will be resolved. But I just want to make sure you guys are aware of this issue. For any of you out there who actually have a C8 Corvette or are expecting a 2020 at some point, this is something you may be hit with. And if you are, don't worry, it is just a software fix that will totally resolve the issue for you. It's not necessarily something wrong with the car. Luckily, I have not had any issues at all with my 2020 C8 Corvette. Nothing check engine light related, nothing drivetrain related, absolutely nothing. I get the question a lot in person. People ask me if I've had any issues, how I feel about the car, all that stuff. And I say the same thing every time. This is the least problematic car I have ever owned. And at this point, I have about 5,200 miles on the car and no issues. I am literally about to take it and drive it to Miami, Florida and back, adding close to another 3,000 miles on it. And I can almost guarantee you that I will have no problems in those additional 3,000 either. The C8 Corvette in total seems to be a pretty solid car, and I am very impressed with how GM has handled a lot of this stuff. Even whenever an issue like this does pop up, it is typically a very easy over-the-air fix, which means you don't even have to take it to the dealership. Definitely good stuff here, guys. And lastly, another article from the CorvetteBlogger.com touches on the faulty valve springs for the C8 Corvette, which we talked about in the past. When I first mentioned this in video, there was very few C8 Corvettes actually affected by this, but GM apparently is extending the build window for those affected engines, meaning there could be more. This particular article starts out with, it was exactly 1 month ago that GM issued a service bulletin regarding a bad batch of valve springs that were used across the GM V8 lineup that includes the 2020 C8 Corvette's LT2 engine. Drivers may experience engine misfiring and a check engine light when one of the valve springs fails. In that original TSB, General Motors stated that the faulty valve springs were used in a production of one of the engines from June 1st to September 15th. However, more and more Corvette owners whose engine build dates were past September 15th were also experiencing broken valve springs. Because these customers were outside of the production window of the TSB, they were not covered by the full fix, which was to replace all of the valve springs. Instead, only the broken valve spring was replaced. As some of the drivers were on road trips, you can imagine being somewhat fearful that one of the other springs will also break while on the road. Fortunately, again, GM has updated the TechLink article and has expanded the window to include these latest cases. The new end date for the affected 6.2-liter engines is now October 7th, 2020. So again, GM seems to be doing the right thing, extending the fix for this so everybody's car is totally covered, and including the people that fall almost a month outside of the original TSB. But now for some bad news. Because the fix requires all valve springs to be replaced on the 6.2 liter engines, you can imagine the demand this has put on sourcing the replacements, as 16 new springs are required for each affected engine. So what this basically means is it could take a while to get your bad valve springs replaced because of a lack of parts. Because this particular TSB involves more than just the 2020 C8 Corvette, a lot of the owners of the other cars affected are waiting as well. So we have a Silverado, the Sierra pickups, and some Camaros with the LT1 and LT4s waiting for these exact same parts. So if you do have this issue, definitely contact your local dealership, but also be aware it could take a little while for you to get these parts, so the car could be down for an unexpected amount of time. But anyway, guys, that is going to do it for today's video update. If you liked what you saw, give me a big thumbs up. If you have any questions about any of the content we talked about today in this video or ever on the channel, go ahead and shoot them in the comments section down below or send me an email, horse.power.obsessed@gmail.com, and I'd be glad to answer anything you may have for me. If you guys haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do. I'm going to have loads of C7 Corvette and C8 Corvette content coming, not to mention just car content in general that you're not going to want to miss. And as always, guys, I will catch you in the next upload.